Hi guys, today I'm going to talk about migrating Dynamics 365 online to on-premise environment. Actually, this is the blog I've written about it. So I will walk through you on steps. What are the things you need to consider? And also I like to do some search. Do some prompt engineering using different AI tools and what are the suggestions they are giving based on my experience. Actually, this one I already done, I think 2 3 years ago, and these blogs I have written based on my experience and the difficulty and the things I've done. Like there are a lot of steps you might need to follow when you are doing the Dynamics 365 this migration. So first we discuss about the initial steps and the things which I have done my experience, and then we'll go to AI tools and see what are the things they are saying based on. Actually, I given my blog link, and I was based on their input. We can see, like the new tool like a Perplexity. They are giving a deep research free, like I think 5 research you can do per day, and ChatGPT one is you need to have a paid subscription, but there are different tools like you can use Claude and different tool and Copilot to see what are the inputs based on our prompts. So let's first go to my blogs and let's discuss about the things which you need to do if you are doing migrating online to on-premise. But normally people do from on-prem to online, but there could be situation you need to do from online to on-prem as well. Mainly when I was doing this, the main reason was the data privacy, and they wanted to have data in their own data center, which happened during the Singapore. So Singapore, they are very strict about dynamics here. I mean, they have very good, very strong data policy, which according to that you need to do, you need to consider so many things. So at that time, the consideration was that they had a different data center in the Hong Kong, and they wanted to have a data center in Singapore according to their data privacy law, because we were doing for health sector at that time. But even a health sector, government sector, this could applicable, but for mostly the private sector it might not. But it's based on your country. It could be Singapore, it could be UK, it could be Canada, it could be US. It's based on your country's GDPR and also the client requirement. So let's go into the steps and the things you need to consider. So mainly, first thing you need to do, you need to get a database backup. So like you have a online Dynamics 365 on environment. So for that you have, it's been hosted in Azure, Microsoft Azure, but you don't have access to that. You can use CRM toolbox, CDS tooling, and all these things to do some SQL queries, but you don't have control over there. So mainly, first thing you need to do, you need to take an online backup, and once you get that, for to get the online backup, so we can discuss later the basic steps. Then create new Dynamics 365 on-prem environment for you, and then restore the database which you got from online, and then fix the any issue after data restoration. So let's see the details about it. Mainly the obtaining online database backup, you need to sign into Dynamics your online environment, settings menu, and data migration option. Use export section, click export button. So then select that you want to export the entities, record, and the related data from those. So you can choose include delete record, deleted record, and all these things. Click start export button to initiate the export process. You will receive email notification export is complete along with the link to download the export data. So click the email download, and this will download the zip file containing the exported data. Note, the export process may take some time depending on the amount of the data being exported. Also be aware that export data will be in a compressed format, so you will need to extract before you can use it. So it will be an Excel. So it's important to mention your SQL version when you are requesting a database backup from Microsoft. And if you are using SQL standard version, TDA, transparent data encryption, will not work, and you will need to remove it from your backup. On the other hand, if you're using SQL standard version, if you're using standard version, so the TDA encryption will not work and you will need to remove. Okay. So if you're using enterprise version, I think you don't have this issue. On the other hand, the enterprise version will support TDA key. Microsoft will send an email to your global admin email addresses, which you need to provide which you need to provide when requesting the database backup through the support. Okay. So Microsoft will send you an email to your global administrator, which you need to provide when requesting a backup. Okay, in your support ticket. So this is mainly about requesting a backup. So it's important, especially the secure environment. This about this TD. So then the next factor is the creating a new environment. So creating an environment dynamics require careful planning and consider. Yeah, of course. Like you need to check about your network infra and environments need to be designed carefully to ensure the system is stable and scalable. Like based on how many users and how many servers you are planning and the load, and like you can have some research about the daily usage and how many user will log into your system, the peak time, and all these things you need to understand. You need to consider the factors such as number of team working on the project, current network architecture, and any restriction or limitation you have on your network, especially this firewall rule. So this is very important when you are doing that. So I add the link here. This is about Microsoft, the firewall requirement. You need to understand your firewall architecture. So like you can see that if you're using Windows authentication or on-prem claim based or something, this is the port requirement. Mainly you need to understand this diagram. This is one of the important diagram if you're planning your migration. So if I can, I don't know. Yeah, let's see. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. So you can see that you have front end, you can have front end server, you can have back end server, and then you have this is about CRM. So when you are installing the CRM, you need to specify then you can have this exchange CRM exchange router, deployment administration server. You can have this, then you can have your SQL database, then you can have reporting databases, SSRS. This is very important if you have very big database, and if your usage is high, it's best thing to consider. When we were doing that, we had, and you need to install the Microsoft reporting in this environment, and the SQL you can get your DB admin help. If you need to do, you need to install, and you need to consider the TDE factor when you are doing that. And also the AD server, so then you might use ADFS for your authentication. So then you need to install and you need to configure these things, and it's important. And also and if you're using Outlook client, you might need to open some port for that, and you will see that ports, right? So from front end to the SQL, it's 1433. So this is the TCP port. And if your front end need to communicate with the SSRS, and you need to use especially Dynamics CRM reporting extension, you need to install this if because to run the fetch XML reports. So 808 and HTTP ports, and you need to install the certificate on these servers, and this is basically the IS server you will. So deployment administrator, you need to have this communication for mostly the HTTPS or mostly the 443 HTTP 80. But if it is a secure environment, you will always use HTTPS, right? So in that case, you will be using 443, and you need to make sure these firewall requests. So the why I mentioned is this, like if it is secure environment and if you have multiple department, multiple policies, first you need to have discussion with these teams, and you are going to open this firewall and know these ports. You might need to submit your firewall request, and you need to get it approved from the security personnel before you are doing that. Otherwise, if you install it, what would happen? You will not be able to communicate with the other servers, and you will get any, most of the time you will get errors. You can't connect, you will have these issues, this issue. It's always very painful, trust me, because I've done this. When we were doing a migration, we had to go through a lot of hassle because of the internal restriction of basically it was the security restriction from internal teams. But if it is a single server, three two servers, if you have all these things, you should be fine. But I'm talking about the enterprise level. um, so this is very important. Server and software requirement determine how many servers you will need to purchase, including CRM, SQL, ADFS. You will need to purchase software license, various component for that, including 365 itself. Yeah, you need to have a license for Dynamics 365. You have based on, I don't know the latest license model, but because mainly I'm using online, but on-prem it could be different. Previous it was CALS. So you may able to obtain this license from your, if you need your dynamic CRM partner. So so they you need to have this discussion before doing all these things. Cluster and disaster recovery, so this is very important, and consider what kind of cluster you will need, as well as the DR architecture and the environment. So DR means disaster recovery. So if you have a disaster recovery environment, so you need to set up, you need to install the CRM, and you need to do all these things, and as well as you need to open the ports. So other application integration, if you have other application that will be integration with the dynamic system, such as mobile, SFTP, yeah, SFTP if you are sending a file, web server, make sure consider these things when you are doing a planning. And the other one, mobile, yeah, the we talk about network team. Work with the network team to ensure the necessary firewall rules are in place, and that all required ports are open. You will also need to obtain SSL certificate from the system. And DBA administrator team will be responsible, but it's depend on your organization structure. I'm just saying it's for the large organization. And installing and converse, as well as the reporting service, they will also need to set up failover and always on configuration. It's like, failover means if it is a huge mission critical system, you might need failovers. If one environment got failed, you can start the other. That's one we call failover. And always on means if it is I think this is not mission. This mission critical means you can, if one environment goes down, automatically the other environment will switch on. That one called switch on, the always on. So it is for the sometimes like a health critical area. So this is very expensive setup you need to have if you are going to set up Microsoft on-prem for whatever reason. But online you don't need to do anything. It's always, it will manage by Microsoft. They might have, I never check, I never read about it, but ideally they should have DR always on all this cluster and everything. Yeah. Then the backup plan. The develop a comprehensive backup plan to cover the operating system, database, virtual machine. This will ensure that you can recover from the unforeseen. Yeah. So like, let's say you install and set up dynamic CRM, front end, back end servers, reporting servers, SQL servers, USFTP servers, web servers, all these servers. Once you're done, if anything happened to your servers, you should be able to restore from your VMs, so virtual machines. So then you need to have a comprehensive plan for uh, this setting up this, and I mean the backup plans and the restore. This is, you need to plan with the uh, existing your network team or who are working with this. I'm talking about installed CRM 2016. I'm not sure recently. Now you need to do this, so you can directly install 9.0. That time you need to do 2016, then you upgrade to 9.0. This could be different. If whoever doing that, you can do the research. So upgrade to 365. That's how you install the latest. This one, it's always you need to do that. And also once you install that, right, going forward, once let's say you went live with this environment and these setups, but still you need to do this roll up security upgrade, because not like online is doing manually from Microsoft, but for you need to do this upgrade. Maybe you can plan like quarterly or like once in a 6 month or yearly. Ideally it should be quarterly. And also if there's any critical patch you need to do immediately. So if you are doing the on-prem migration, think about it, then configure adfs. We use adfs. You can use different email. You don't need to have this skill sheet. It is a different thing. Active Directory Federation servers for the authentication, but you need to provide some certificate, and you need to have this. Otherwise, you won't be able to use it securely. If you are using unsafe, I mean, it's if you are using your own environment and you don't consider this thing, you don't need. But if it is like multiple environment and if you are working with multiple teams and multiple, it could be if you are exposing from internet. Yeah, you need to consider these things. Also, if you are using two-factor, 2FA, MFA, install 2FA, MFA servers in the ADFS or whatever, so you need to consider these things as well. Configure the SSS certificate in the CRM server using deployment manager. Okay, configure. So deployment manager, you should be able to configure SQL certificate and also the configure IFD, internet facing deployment, claim-based authentication, create necessary DNS. This also you need to get your DNS entries, and whoever creating this, you need to work with this team and set up load balancing if your environment is clustered, multi-server, and you can use load balancing solutions such as FIO, NLB. This is the NLB is the Microsoft default one, but you can use best solution whatever it's available. Keep in mind that these steps are general and specific process, so it will be required. To restore the CRM online, you will need to follow. Okay, this is the detailed step. Getting the and create a new environment, restore and obtain this typical can be done with SQL management. Fix any issues that arise after database. So this is very important. This is the lesson learned things which I have done. After database has been stored, you may encounter issue with the plugin and workflows not functioning correctly. To fix this issue, you will need to register plugin and workflow again using plugin registration tool. Change the sandbox mode to none. So you need to change your plugin and workflows, otherwise it won't work. Keep in mind that process for restoring and fixing any issues that arise may vary depending on a specific environment. It's important to carefully plan this. Some additional steps that you need to take fix issues that arise after restoring the on-prem. Verify that all customization have been successfully restored. This includes the custom entity field, forms, view workflows, flows, cloud flows, whatever. Check for any missing data inconsistent. That can be the missing record, incorrect field values, broken relationship, or this repair any broken links report, such as a record that are pointing to non-existing record or record that's invalid data. Check for any errors or warning, event log, system job troubleshoot, and test the system to ensure the functioning correctly all the customization. This can test all customer entity field, forms, workflow, and other things. If you are using any third-party tool, then you verify that are functioning. Review and update any customization script, report, indication that were created before to the migration to ensure that they are all compatible in the new environment. Ensure that all users have the necessary permission to access the system. This is very important. You when you are doing that, you might need to do the user mapping. So make sure your security permission is there and review the update any data policy, data governor, whatever. Consider creating rollback plan in case any issues cannot be resolved. This can include the backup database system. Yeah, to improve the process of migration online to on-prem backup, you might need to consider obtain the current complete data backup form and described previously. Make sure the download backup file to a secure location and keep copy for safekeeping. Yeah, keep your backup for as a safekeeping. So in the future, if you need or anything, don't delete it. Create a new environment and describe this. Include the setting up the necessary whatever. The restore the database in the new environment file obtained as typically is and the test as well, fix any issue. Yeah, communicate with the relevant stakeholder through the migration to ensure that yeah. Consider working with the partner consulting firm experienced as you can provide valuable guidance. Make sure they follow the best practice data migration, including yeah, all these other things. So these are the basic guidelines you need to. If you can read more information, you can find from Microsoft, YouTube video, and wherever you can find. But this is important for you to get an idea, the high level idea. That's why I've written this wiki and the blog. Actually, I've written in 2022. I don't know now what other changes are there, but still you might have some idea. So this is about it. I discuss about this. Then let's see. We have these AI tools. From based on these tools, what they are saying about it. The first thing I wanted to check about the perfect perplexity. Actually, recently they introduced that they are doing a deep research. So I wanted to do some deep research. So then they are saying the technical feasibility, co-architecture, data storage architecture, customization, compatibility, security model, migration, technical, manual data export, import. They are talking about SSIS with the cases of adapters and configuration, solution compatibility, like cloud solution using modern control framework, Power Apps components are incompatible with the on-premise instance, limited legacy web resources. Yeah, this fixing would be very important if you are doing. I think it's applicable. Workflow migration, cloud workflow require complete requirement using on-prem workflow tools. Plugin compare assembly-based plugin must be recompiled again on-prem SDK version, and yeah, that's what we were talking about. Change your version from to that, and then the licensing conversation data residency verification. Cloud may reside in the multiple Azure regions. Require compare, yeah. Then the performance optimization. For the large database, network bandwidth become a critical. It is transfer data. They are talking about some SQL on-premise database can require careful configuration. Create alter database with no way. These settings ensure the optimal query profile migrated data. Memory, they are talking about configuration, pre-migration validation, PowerShell, then post-migration, implement automated verification steps. Oh, I think stop. We can ask some question, I think, based on that. But this deep research for me, initial steps, it's not enough. This information for me, I think they should give him more information. If it is a deep, because we are saying deep, right? Deep research. They are searching it's like 40 resources. Let's go to the Gemini. I asked the same question from Gemini, deep research. So let's see what they have. So this is I'm using uh, 2.0 Flash Thinking experimental model. So it's help you to do some deep research I've done previously. So using that. So environment assessment, compatibility check, define scope and objective, data backup, rollback, deep and technical, provide more details. Example like data import, you mentioned the configuration migration. Yeah, this is one of the important thing you can use. You can use configuration migration tool, like if you need to migrate the data. But if you are restoring a database, you don't need that. So this is customization solution. This one you don't need to do because you are doing database backup. You don't need to do solution wise. But if you're doing a delta, then you need. Let's say you delta means, let's say you migrate from online to on-prem, then you will start running, and at the same time the user might use old system and new system both. So then you might need to do some data migration, or you might need to do some solution, any changes you are doing. But what I am suggesting is don't do this way. Always try to use database copy. It's easy. Enhance performance optimization, server side and infrastructure SQL performance tuning, dynamic application. Yeah, and testing, yeah, test cases, it's QA team. Post migration, user training, monitoring, table of content, blah blah blah. The features area, Microsoft official documentation, dynamic environment deployment guide, community forums, third party tool, licensing. actionable, prioritize research and each improvement, yeah, something like that. They say, let's say deep sea. Ask same question from deep sea. It's a complex process that required careful planning. Key point reason for migration, step for migration, challenges areas, lack of detailed tool and technologies, Azure Data Factory, Scribe, testing and validation, and licensing cost, security consideration. On-premise require robust security measurements, which is not discussed. So they're asking about to discuss in this blog the security and customer. The you briefly mention, but don't elaborate how to handle the plugin. Okay, deep research, pre-migration, area access to your environment. Conduct a thorough audit the current online environment, including custom all this licensing. Ensure your on-premise environment meets the minimum requirement for CRM, including SQL version. So these things, I think I briefly mentioned all about this. And export data access, actually data export service. This has been deprecated by Microsoft recently. Third-party tools, data mapping. We do not need to do data cleansing. You don't need to do this. So this migrate, if you say migrating, they are thinking about the data migration, but we are doing using database backup. So seems to be any of these tools, they don't get it what we are trying to do. So let's see the chat GPT. Official clearance, data migration, customization, user mapping. Then I was trying Copilot. Key point, introduction, pre-free, step by post migration, best practice, challenges and solution. You can keep asking question from here, from the Copilot. So let's say I was trying a Grok. Recently they mentioned they have released. All the time I'm trying to use, but I previously I thought I used the cloud, but I don't have that link anyway. We can ask that question. Let's go to the see what they. Yeah. So let's until cloud process it. Let's see about the Grok, the recent data assessment, environmental customization, data migration, testing. No, this is very basic. Let's see what they are doing. I don't know. It's very slow. The cloud is very slow. I cannot open. Okay, however, I can help you to analyze, review a specific. Let's say yes, please. What they will do? I don't know. So forget about the cloud at the moment for time being. So what we are trying to do, right? This is a very old diagram. Huh? I don't know. Microsoft they haven't upgraded, so they always encouraging you to use online. So that's the thing they are always considering about it. So, but anyway, if you have any specific requirement, like when we were doing it, so you can consider. So I think this block. Let's minimize. I mean, this the architect. This article. I was trying to say forever. This article. It's connectivity firewall requirement for. So it is. It has so many information on Pram. Its informations are there. It's based on your on form with the integrated Windows, claim based or default connectivity requirement, and all front end, back end, deployment, SSRS, client. quote recommendation, all these informations are here. And the following diagram shows the connectivity for dynamic reporting. Yeah, for me, when we were doing, we struggled a lot with the reporting. We were installed, there were some versions issues with the fetch xml. It was a long time ago. I can't remember exactly, but this is very important part. I don't know with the recent changes whether Microsoft has improved that, but you might need to consider this reporting server, fetch xml, connector installation is very important for, because if you are running both SQL report and the fetch XML reports, this should be very important for you to consider. And yeah, if you're using the SSL certificate, and you need some people, they, for additional security, they might use certificate for secure the reporting server as well, URL. So this is bit tricky, as I can remember. So if you have any question, you can drop and comment. You can ask anything if you want, because I have done long time ago, but I thought I will do next video about on-prem to online and the steps. So this is mainly the infrastructure thing. So, and I will drop this blog, and I actually read the blog from here. This is Singapore. What you call this? I can't remember. This is in Singapore. Singapore airport, terminal 3 or something. They call, they build very nice. They have very nice airport actually. So yeah. So this is a summary and complex. And if you read this blog, you get an idea. And if you have any question, you can ask in the comments. That's it for today. Let's because whatever the video I will do, what I'm planning, I will do the video, and also I will try to use AI tools, how they are reacting. And for these AI tools, they are lacking and they don't understand the question we are asking. Even though they are trying to identify based on the keyword migrating, but actually it's migrating how we are doing using the database backup. So they don't get that. So they are lacking. So always be very careful with when you are using. Still, if you are planning with these AI tools, still do the Google research, read some Microsoft article, and try to understand the process. And sorry, don't trust on these tools. You can see that still they are trying to understand this as a migration, data migration. They are trying to suggest instead of scribe and all these things, security. You don't need to do any of these things if you're using Microsoft backup. So they can't tell you that. So these are the things lacking. Maybe I don't know it, the training wise, if you do that, it will understand or not. But you can say that they're wrong. But and also the perplexity, that tool, which they are saying they have enabled the deep research, it is not working. But I will try to run some, because I don't have OpenAI paid version. If I have, then I will do that. Unfortunately, I don't have the paid version to try this one, but using this free version of Perplexity, still I can't pronounce this name, sorry about it, I can't pronounce correctly. Perplexity or perplexity or whatever, using that I'm trying to do the deep research, but it's not up to that standard. But compared to that, Gemini is good. I would try using Perplexity and the Gemini. Gemini is better considering that. And I will do further videos about, uh, I want to do some research about how to implement the digital economy in Sri Lanka. So I want to do some deep research, not like a policy level, but you know the government level, or like, as a layman, I wanted to understand what are the gaps and what are the things you need to fill. So maybe I will do a few videos about it as well in the future. And you can use these tools, but always, as I was saying before, be careful with that and try to use it vigilantly, and also be careful with that. Or that's why I'm saying always try to read as well if you're doing very important stuff. So still these tools are lacking, especially it's based on the prompt. Maybe you might need to say different thing in your prompt. You can say this, I am doing a database restore and I'm not doing it, so then it might understand. So you need to be very careful with the prompt as well. So, and always don't make any calculation from the first prompt. Do some research, ask some question, understand, read. That would help you. That's it for today. Have a good day, guys. Bye.